Hello there, Carrie Rhoades here with Trinity Stamps. I am so excited to be a part of your World Card Making Day. Today, I am going to be playing with one of our brand new stamp sets from the October release at Trinity Stamps, and we're going to be making a really fun shaker card. We're going to get a little bit Western and just have some fun, which is what I think World Card Making Day should be about, is those of us that are crazy about paper, having fun, using something maybe that is new to you, or pull out some things that you've bought and you have yet to play with, because we all know we have that, and just maybe making something special for somebody that means something to you. Okay, let's jump in and get started. I said we were going to get a little bit country today. I was not kidding. We're going to be playing with the Gnome on the Range stamp set. You can see this has some really cute gnome images that are cowboys. They are so cute. And the reason why I'm so in love with this set is because I come from a family with some cowboys in it. This is a picture of my dad, one of my favorites. He was definitely a cowboy. That was his job. That's pretty much what he wore every day. And my grandpa was as well. He actually made these belts for me, doing some leather work, and made his own saddles. And so I am super excited to play with this set and have this be my focus for World Card Making Day. Okay, the stamp set that we're playing with today, brand new from our latest release, is Gnome on the Range. It is so cute with these little gnome cowboys and this like Highlander cow. So cute. And we've got the word howdy written with rope. I love that so much. And then a bunch of sentiments that can go with it. So you can make some cute little sayings. Really some fun sentiments. We're going to use a few of those on my card today. So there is a coordinating die set to die cut out all the things and bubble cut out your sentiments, which I absolutely love. And then we're going to use two images from this set. We're going to use this one right here, the little cowboy riding the cow, and then the Highlander cow itself. So you can see I've already stamped them and I've colored this one up. We're going to color this one together. So we'll do a little bit of coloring, and we're going to turn this into a really fun interactive shaker card. So we'll go ahead and start with the coloring. I'm going to put my markers right here. This is actually all the markers that I use to color up the cowboy. So I have a few extra colors here that I won't actually use on the cow, because the cow, it, just has less. So anything, the reds I used on the cowboy, the blue, the black for his hat, and all of that. But let me give you a close-up look at that colored so you can really get a feel for how to color this in yourself. If this is something that you want to do, you can see that. And now we'll get started onto the coloring. So for my little cow, I wanted to go a little reddish brown. So I'm going to use my E15, E13, and E11 Copic markers. So really, you can change this up however you like. All right, so I like to start with my darkest color. I have some thinner cardstock, and the colors blend really easily on here, which means they can also kind of like fade out, or bleed out, I mean. And so I tend to do my darkest first and work my way towards my lightest, but do what feels most comfortable to you. And I would not say like I'm really here to teach about Copic coloring. I'm a very simple colorist, and that's how I like it. But you can easily, go to town on coloring these up if that's the thing that you love to do. So here I have my E13. This is my mid-tone marker here, and you can see I'm just going over the area that I colored and kind of making that area a little bit bigger and blending it out. And then I can come in with my lightest, which is E11, and fill in the rest of the image. And you can always go over this again if you feel like, oh, I really wanted that to be lighter, or that needs blended a little bit more, or whatever. Go over it a second time. That really makes a big difference. Okay, so then we're going to color up the body, and I'm going to do that with the same markers, but omitting my darkest color. I wanted the hair to kind of stand out, and be a little bit darker than, you know, the rest. So we're going to color our darkest areas now with the E13. I'm going to get right here under his little mouth and just create my shadows with this color. And that's, you know, kind of following the lines of the image. It's pretty easy to do. I'm going to color that whole part of the tail. And then we'll come in now with our lightest and do the rest. Just starting over the top of what I already colored, along the edge of what I already colored, and blending that out. Now, some of these you can see are my Copic, I think they're classics. Anyways, they have the bullet tip, and when I'm using that, I tend to do more of a coloring in a circular motion than when I have the brush markers. I tend to do more of, you know, kind of flicks. I think this one is one that would benefit from going over the darkest areas again and creating a little bit darker shadow, just because these two colors are pretty close together and don't have a high contrast. So you might want to add in a few extra little shadows with this one. And then I'm going to come in and do the ears just that darkest of the two colors on the top, and then the part where the ears kind of open, I'll do the lightest, and then I'll finish out with my tail. Oh, he's so cute. All right, now for his snout and his hooves, I'm going to come in with E53, just like a kind of creamy color, and that's going to kind of give it a little bit of contrast in those areas. So, you know, you have a little bit of, I don't know, contrast there. And then I see a little part right here. Fill that in. Okay, he is darling. Now for the horns, I left the horns only halfway colored. I'm actually going to use my colorless blender and just kind of soften out that edge. So my E53 is more like just a little bit of a shadow there. Okay, next we're going to do just a touch of this R17 right here in his mouth. Then we have the grass, but I kind of did like a deserty scene, so I'm going to have mine be more like hay, or, you know, some dry grasses here. And that's what's going to stick out of his mouth. So this is just going to really play into the color, the colors that I used on my card. All right, so I have my Jelly Roll pen, size 8. I like to get it going right on my hand. And then I'm just going to come in and add a few highlights, and that's going to really bring him to life. I'm going to color in the little nostrils and just do little curved lines. And then in some places you might do a few dots. That's always cute. And I like to do like the little parts that are rounded. Anything that also you maybe want to look shiny or have a highlight. Oh, he's darling. He's so cute. And you could say I already did the white gel pen on the little cowboy, so I think we're good to go here. I like it. Sometimes I just get carried away with my white gel pen and keep going. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to do. All right. Another little part on the cowboy I wanted to show you on video was that I took this gold gel pen, and he's got a tiny little belt buckle, and I thought it'd be fun to color that in gold. So it's just a little dot, but it makes like a little difference. You know, love is in the details. So see how that turned out? Really cute, pretty quick and easy coloring. And then it is time to go ahead and die cut these out with the coordinating dies. There's a die for all of the things. And let me grab that, dropped it. And you just want to play with this and check all the sides before you tape it down and make sure you've got it where you want. And you've got like an even border all the way around. You might see one side that's has a little bit more room, and so you'll want to scoot that. These cut, I would say, pretty close to the image. It leaves some white space, definitely. But when you're lining up the die, you don't see much of that white space, just a tiny bit. I don't know, I try to be really meticulous there with my lining it up, and sometimes I still get it a tiny bit off. Okay, now we'll bring in our die cut machine and get these cut out. They're so cute. I love all things Western. I just love the cowboy look. It's kind of, you know, something that runs in my family, so it makes me happy. Check him out. So, so cute. How did we do on the die cutting? Really good. Really good. Okay, there's my 2 images. We're going to set those aside now, and we're going to work on the background. I'm going to create a little bit of a scene for these 2, and so we're going to work on that next. For the outside of my card, I'm going to do this cow print stencil on some white cardstock, and that's going to give us that really kind of Western vibe for this. I love it. And I'm just going to lay this paper here, which is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. I'm going to make a square card today, a 5-inch by 5-inch card. So I need this just to be a little bit smaller than my card base. All right, we've got our stencil in place. We're going to be using some Black Soot Distress Oxide ink for this, and I'll be using my Trinity Stamps Blending Buddy brush. And you can see it's got the color clip on it, so I always use this for black. All right, then I'll just swirl this around on the pad to pick up the ink and swirl it around on my paper. And you don't need a lot of pressure with this. It's just gonna glide on here so easily, and it really fills up this stencil fast. Now, if you want it darker, then you're just gonna do a second layer. But I like to use up the ink on my brush quite a bit before I come in with a second layer. And then this time, well, I have more ink. I'm gonna start here where I ended before, when I have the most concentration of ink on my brush. And then again, I'll start over here. And this is really fun to do different colors with, this cow print, but of course, black and white traditional cow print is so iconically Western. So I had to do it for today's card. And this is just so satisfying to do a stenciled background and you pick up the stencil and reveal your print. I absolutely love stenciling. And I feel like these brushes just make it so much easier. I can pick up so much ink and cover such a large surface so quickly. So I'm just now making this as dark as I want it to be. So you can go over it a few times and really intensify the black however you want it to be. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Oh my goodness, look how cool. Love it. Isn't that fun? All right, so this is going to be the front of our card. It's also going to be the front of our shaker. I am making a shaker card today, so we're going to need to create a window into our shaker. So that's the part we're going to do next. We're going to die cut out a circle from the front of this. For my circle, I am using the Clean Cut Circle Layers Set A. There's 24 dies in here. We also have Set B, 23 dies. These are like a 1/16 of an inch apart. I mean, they're just so good. Maybe it's an 1/8 of an inch. But I'm going to take this circle. This is approximately 3 3/8 of an inch as I measured it. So probably really close to that unless I got it off a little bit. And then I'm just going to tape this in place and die cut out the center of it. All right, we have that circle die cut out, and we can just save this and use this for another project because that is just super cute. But I want to give this a little bit more of like a Western vibe. So we're going to add to this just a little bit and give it more of a distressed look. So for that, I'm going to use my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink, And I've got a brown blending buddy brush for that. I'm just going to get a really light layer of ink on my brush. I'm going to start on my mat and work my way towards my paper. I'm trying to just get a really soft dusting of that brown on the edge. Really kind of distress it lightly. So that's why it's always nice to, you know, start on the mat and work your way towards the paper. I will also say that I did heat set this a little bit to dry that ink because I didn't want to rush in while that thick layer of stenciling was still wet. And then I might get too much smearing here when I'm adding the brown. So there's a little tip I did for you. And then we're just, you know, lightly filling this area in where the white is. And you can see that a little bit transforms it into more of a Western vibe, right? Isn't that fun? Love it. Love this. Now I'm not going to do the circle because I actually have a die cut layer. I'm going to add a little frame right there too. So I don't need to do that. I just wanted that outside and I love how that turned out. So for that frame, I used the same circle here. And then from the B side, I picked one that was a little bit bigger so I could really draw your eye in to the center of my card. Let me get this excess ink up so I don't get it where I don't want it, right? So for this, we're going to glue this right to the card. And that really helps draw your eye into the center. Plus it gives us a really fun pop of color. It's very similar red to the red I used coloring the shirt of my little cowboy gnome. So it's going to pull that image out and help it pop as well. So just making sure I have this lined up well with that cut edge on all the sides before I really press down. Okay. The next step in making this a shaker is a window sheet. So we're going to cover up our window with a piece of acetate or window sheet, and those glue on really nicely. So that's what I'm adding here, a layer of glue. I cut my window sheet just to be a little bit smaller than the actual piece I'm laying it onto. I just find that makes it a lot easier for me to line up a clear thing, is to have it be a little bit smaller. Then I don't have any of the window sheet like hanging out past my little background here. So there it is. And now I want to create the part you're going to see through the window. We're going to make a little bit more of a scene for that with a different stencil. All right, for this one, I'm using the Puffy Cloud stencil. It's 6 by 9. So I love that because you can scoot it and get different looks just from one side of the stencil. And then you've got the other ends that are smaller, and then you have the whole other side. So you've got a lot of variety when making your clouds, and I love it. So for this, we're gonna use the, wrong brush. We're using the Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink. All right, so I'll just start on my stencil and work my way onto the paper, and that just ensures that you don't get a harsh line where you don't want it. And you can make this as dark or as light as you want. I'm gonna go pretty light with mine. I'm gonna flip it over, pick which part of the stencil I want, get some more ink, and again, start on the stencil and work your way off onto the paper. And you don't need a heavy hand when you're doing this. Oh, I scooted it a little bit, so we're gonna call it good. And then I'm gonna do the end for this last one. Not all of this is gonna show, so I don't need to go all the way to the bottom. We're actually gonna add a die cut piece there. So we just need a little bit of clouds, like that. So easy. The piece I'm gonna add on is just a little bit of a hill. And this is from another slimline die set that we have. It's got so many fun dies, and just because it's slimline doesn't mean you can't use it on other cards. This is the Great Outdoors Borders and Builders, and you can just trim this down to fit your card like I've done here. So we're just gonna glue that on, and that is gonna be the opening or what's behind the opening for my little scene. Isn't that fun? So we'll go ahead and glue that down. I've cut this from some craft cardstock. It really plays into that kind of deserty vibe of my scene. There we go. So now we have that part of our shaker done, and now I think we can go ahead and put the whole shaker part together. The next important thing we need for our shaker is some foam tape. So we're going to go all the way around our window here, and we're going to make sure that all the ends of the foam tape touch, because we have really small shaker bits going into today's card, and I don't want any of them to fall out. So therefore, I'm really taking care to make sure these ends are butting up against each other, and then snipping that off in a straight line really helps to get those lined up. And then you just take care when you get here to cut so that these are still going to touch. Now, another thing that I'm going to do to make sure nothing escapes, I'm going to cut some little squares, and I'm just going to fill in this corner. So that's another stopping point for my shaker bits, and that's going to help a lot in preventing things from coming out. If you're using tiny shaker bits like we're going to do today, like for example, maybe glitter or micro beads, you might want this. I'm not using either of those two things. It's a little bit of a surprise. And now we just need to do some anti-static powder, because of the window sheet can have a little bit of that on there. And sometimes your foam tape might be a little sticky on the edge, so doing this is going to help so that your shaker bits float freely against that window sheet, but also are not sticking to the edge of your foam tape. So that's really helpful. All right, so we have that ready to go. I'm going to double check this and see if there's one side I want to be up and one side I want to be down. This is pretty universal, so we'll just leave that. And then let me show you what we're filling this with. I have some sand here. This is from the dollar spot at Target, and I think they had it out whenever you could make fairy houses. But I wanted my shaker card to look like they're kicking up the dust. They're kicking up the dirt. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this sand in here. It's pretty coarse, but still you can see why I want to ensure that nothing is going to fall out of my card, right? Okay, the next thing I'm going to add, this is kind of funny. These are sprinkles, and they're kind of this caramel color, but I want the straight ones. So I'm just going to try to grab a little bit out here and put it into my tidy tray, and I'm going to alter these ever so slightly so that I have some bigger pieces that might look like little rocks or something, but it just adds to that look to have these in there. So we'll get a few, and then these cut very easily with scissors. So I'm just going to make them a little bit smaller and add those in with my shaker bits. And I think it just really adds to it. So most of these I'm just going to cut in half. Some of them can get long, and so therefore you might want to cut them a little bit shorter, but they're pretty small. So cutting them any smaller than that is a little bit tedious. And sometimes you can get two at once and cut them. That's nice. But no, that is not the kind of thing that normally works out when you're doing this on camera. Not at all. So just be careful with these if you have sharp scissors. That's what I'm telling myself right now. But they say that you get more cuts from something dull than something sharp. So we'll just do a few more. I kind of like a shaker card that is a little bit full. It's not as fun when there's barely anything in there, but you got to go with the vibe of your card as well. You know, I don't want to fill this thing up so much that the sand is up on the sky part. And I want it to have a little element of surprise when you shake it, like, oh, that's what that is, you know? So I think we've got a good amount here. All right, we're done with that. The next thing we want to do is take the backing off of our foam tape, and then we'll add our desert scene right over the top of this. All right, we have all of our foam tape removed. we're going to take our backer, and I did cut this smaller so that it was a little bit easier to line up. If this is the same exact size as the front, it can be harder to get this on the way you want it to, but having it a little smaller is the trick that saves the day. All right, let's take a look. You can see we're kicking up the dust. So now we need to add our cute things. And I already showed you the images of the cow and the cute little cowboy, but we're also going to put some sentiments on there. So let's work on that. Okay, we're going to stamp out that scripty word howdy that's written with rope. It's so cute. And we're going to emboss that. So I've treated my paper with my powder tool, and then I'm going to ink this up with some white ink. And I just want to go in with light pressure because this is so detailed. I want to make sure I don't press too hard or that detail could kind of get lost. Also, because I have a stamping tool that allows me to reposition this the same way every time, I am going to go ahead and make sure that I have good ink coverage, and that's really helpful when you're going in with a light hand. Instead of pressing hard, you can just add more layers. So that is really helpful. We're going to sprinkle this with white powder and emboss it. All right, so let's bring in that white powder and we're going to sprinkle that on. Get that covered really well. And we can just shake off any excess. And now we need to heat set that. So we'll bring in our heat tool. We're going to let it get nice and hot. And then we can set to melting the powder. So you can see that powder is now melting and it's getting raised up and shiny, and we have not lost any detail of our image because we went in with a light hand and built up the layers of our ink lightly. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it on this craft paper with white. All right, so once that is cooled off just a little bit, we can then remove some of that powder that's on there and reveal the nice color of our craft cardstock. Oh yeah. Okay, then it's time to die cut this out with the coordinating die. And this is one I want to take my time and care with and make sure that I get it lined up really nicely before I go ahead and tape it down. And also, I like to use more than one piece of tape. I think it helps with any kind of light shifting that could happen when, you know, moving it from here to there and running it through the die machine. So that's why I've got 3 pieces there. Plus, I've used this tape over and over again. It might not be as sticky as it once was. So we'll die cut that. This is that Scout die cut machine. I love having this for my desktop. Such a great size. And so many of the things we die cut are within these boundaries. So it's really handy. There it is, die cut out and ready to go. Isn't that going to look so cute on the shaker card? And there is a few other stamped images I'm going to put with this. So let me show those to you. I already stamped them out. We have Yeehaw and Giddy Up and Partner. So I'm going to put all of these on my card with my stamped little characters and the word howdy. So let's go ahead and start putting our scene together. Here's our shaker. We've got our word howdy is going to go at the top, and we're just going to glue that in place. So I'm going to use my tweezers to help me hold that, and then I'm going to add in my glue. So this cardstock is pretty thick, and where I'm gluing this, it's going to go over an uneven surface. So that's why I'm kind of using more glue than maybe is normally necessary. So that's going to go here. I'm going to have a little bit of that red circle showing. So it's going to be half on the paper and half onto my window sheet. Get off any extra glue there. And we're just going to be patient and let that really have time to dry. The next thing we're going to do is add on our little cow, so I can give that a moment and not work too close to that. And he's going to go right down here. And again, we've got part that's going to go on the window sheet. So just hold that, give it a little extra time to adhere there. And it's just a small part. So even if that part sticks up a little bit and doesn't, bump down into the middle, that's okay. All right, so then we've got our fun extra sentiments here. So we're going to put howdy partner. We're going to add giddy up right here. And then for our cowboy, that one's going to say yeehaw. Isn't that fun? All right, so one thing I thought would be fun to do for this card, I didn't do this on my original, but I thought we should go ahead and add an action wobbler onto our cowboy. I just think that would be so fun. So I'm going to take the backing off of this and I'm going to stick it down right where I want my little cowboy to go. I guess normally I would stick this on the back of my image, but I already kind of worked out where I wanted it to go. And we're going to stick him on there. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that is so fun. Okay, so now I've got things where I want it. I can come in, pick up these little images and glue them in place. I'm going to have this go right under the word howdy. He's saying yeehaw. Now you know why he's saying yeehaw, right? He's got a wild cow there. Oh gosh, that's cute. And then this guy, he's all chill, eating his hay. Giddy up. This one reminds me of Seinfeld. I don't know if you're of the same age as me, where Seinfeld was the thing to watch on Thursday nights, right? And that's what Kramer used to say a lot. Giddy up. I can't get over that. It's so fun. So we've got a double interactive card. We've got our shaker. He's kicking up the dust. Isn't that fun? So cute. Okay. All right. We need to stick this onto our card base. And I'm going to use that same craft cardstock here. Oh, you know what? There was one thing I really wanted to do on this card that I forgot. Let's see if we can make it happen. But we're going to have to do a little masking because I wanted to add some splatter on here, and I was going to do that before I die cut things out. Let's just, sometimes you got to be resourceful in your card making, right? Yeah, I think the splatter really adds to that effect of like the dirt being kicked up. So let's just do it. I was going to do this right after we added on the vintage photo around the edge of our card. That would have been the perfect time. So I'm just going to take a little window sheet here. You can see I use this a lot for such things. Press down the vintage photo. We'll get a little bit of water there and a paintbrush. And then we can pick that up and we'll just be really careful with our splatter, right? That doesn't seem hard. Get some splatter in there. Can we get some down here? I know some people, splatter is just not their thing. It is so my thing. So I wanted you to see how it looks. Then you can decide if, you know, taking on a little bit of splatter is going to be your thing. I'll put a couple dots in here manually. Okay, I'm not good at manual splatter. Apparently they're all in a row. Okay, we're gonna call it good. I can't believe I forgot my favorite step of adding in the splatter, but we worked it out, figured it out. It's good. And then we can remove that. Remove this. Yay, it worked out. Okay, now we can go ahead and add this to our card base right here. Remember, my card is 5 inches by 5 inches. thought a square card is always fun. I like to do non-traditional size cards. I like to do shape cards. I'm still a fan of slim lines. A7 is my favorite right now, but this is just really fun. I think this card is a blast. Loving it so much. Okay, we need some embellishment on this. So I am going to bring in some gold star embellishment. Look at these. They're gold. There's different sizes and they're iridescent. So I have a few in my little tidy tray here. We're going to need a fine tip glue, and I like to use the Trinity Stamps pickup tool. Now, if you have this, here's a little tip. The T points towards that wax tip, like that. Okay, so let's embellish. We're going to do some in each corner of our card here. And I'm going to do 3 because there's like 3 different sizes of stars. There's a teeny tiny star in here. And I thought, oh my word, if you had the right image, you could put a gold star on the cowboy. I haven't played with the other images as much, but maybe I could get one on there. I haven't played with one of them, so it might work out. I just thought of it, so okay. We're going to figure that out, and then we'll just keep adding stars to our heart's content. I tend to be somebody that, like, more is more. I want all of the things on my cards, and I want lots of them, and it's hard to stop. So you can do yours with less if that's how you like it. Isn't that fun? Oh my word. Sand in a shaker. Isn't that cool? All right, so that is my Howdy Partner shaker card with Action Wobbler. I'm so happy I added that. On my original card when I was designing this for today's World Card Making Day event, I did not do this, but in the end I thought, oh gosh, let's do an Action Wobbler on the next one and just see. Now I know it's a thick card. We're probably gonna have to add extra postage because of this guy, but would you agree with me that it's totally worth it? We need to keep our post office in business, right? As card makers, it's important. Look at that, kicking up the dirt and the dust. Yeehaw! Isn't that fun? Okay, let's see another card with this stamp set, and we're going to use that circle piece that we cut out. So I'm just going to show you the finished card. We'll talk through it and you can see what I made with that extra piece. Here is the card I made with that circle left over from the cow print background. And I also used a background stamp right here. This is reverse floral background. I used barn door ink on white paper and kind of was hoping it would give that vibe of like a bandana. I also used a star here. We have a slimline die that die cuts out 3 stars, and you can see it kind of embosses the edge. Love that. So I added that, and then the little cowboy with the lasso, and this says, "This ain't your first rodeo." And I also did a little bit different with my Howdy on this one. I have craft colored cardstock that's a little bit lighter, and I stamped it with some brown ink that's ground espresso, and I embossed it with clear powder. I did add some of the stars in there because I love those, and did a little bit of like distressing on my paper. I thought that was fun to do. So that is that. And then I couldn't stop. I had to play with the third cowboy. And so I used that leftover red circle. When I die cut out the frame, I had an extra red circle. The frame that, remember, goes around the window. So I had this leftover circle. So I made another little Action Wobbler because he's on his little rocking horse. I curved my sentiment that says, "Happy trails to you." And then I did a star background with a stencil. That's the star add-on stencil for our checkered background. And I just shifted it, and I did some with white ink and some with some, I think frayed burlap. And then the Howdy I embossed with gold onto that kind of mustard cardstock and did a little drop shadow there with gold cardstock. It's just so cute. So I am in love with this set, and I think it's just really fun. So I thought that you would love it too, and I hope that you enjoyed today's card. We have a few other gnome stamp sets in this latest release, so I want to share those with you. They have a Christmas vibe to them, so they are so much fun for your upcoming holiday cards. So let's go ahead and take a look at those sets. We have this fun 4x8 set called Holiday Gnome Stacks. So we've got 2 stacks of gnomes here. This one you can see has a little Santa, a reindeer, and an elf. This one has 3 little gnomes decorating the tree. So cute. And we have a bunch of sentiments, including Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Deck the Halls, Peace, Love, Joy, Let Your Heart Be Light, May Your Holidays Be Merry and Bright, 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly. I love that one. And then we also have a to and from, so you can make gift cards. And of course, there is a coordinating die set, so you can die cut out all the things. And I have a card made with this. Now this card is about 5x7, and you can see it's arched at the top. This is a new die set in our latest release that just came out on October 2nd. It's the arched card set and nesting arch dies. It comes all together, the card with the nesting arches, so you can do lots of fun things with that. I have paired it with this stamp right here. You can see the Santa, the little gnome dressed up as a reindeer, and then we've got our little elf there at the bottom trying to hold them up. Oh my word, so cute. And I did use 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly. And then I used our Simply Sentimental sets. This is Simply Sentimental Merry and Simply Sentimental Christmas to die cut out those words. I'll show you this arch die set in just a minute, but I also wanted to show you what I did on the inside. We have a little mini gnome stamp set that's as cute as can be. Is the little tree gnome, and you can see it's a little gnome dressed up as a tree, and then it's got some sentiments with it. A gift for you, also great for your gift tags. Love and joy and season's greetings. And of course, coordinating dies did I cut out all 4 of those stamped images, and I just thought he was really cute on the inside of this card. So there he is. I love that he's holding a candy cane. That's so cute. So now let's take a look at this arch die set so you can see what that looks like. All right, so this is our arch die set with our arched shape card. And you can see it's really big. And this is gonna make a 5x7 card. You can see right here where the score line is gonna be, and it has these beautiful arches at the top. And then in the die set, we also have some nesting dies that are gonna fit onto this die set, and you have all the sizes. And what is really cool about these is that it has etched lines. So the middle line is a cut line, and then on either side, there is an etched line. So the arch that you die cut out will have an etched line, and the piece left behind will also have an etched line. So you can easily use those pieces, those negative pieces when you cut out your arch, as a decorative element to make another card. So it's very resourceful, and you can see you've got all the nesting sizes that you could imagine. So what a fun die set right there. I am having so much fun playing with this, and I just love that fun little shape, but still a really, you know, fun card. So there we have it. Love it. There's one more card featuring that arched set. I've made an arched card, and because we have all these nesting dies, it's really easy to create a frame, which is perfect for making shaker cards. So I've done that here on the edge of this card and made a shaker for our stacked gnomes decorating the tree. Isn't that fun? I am in love with this new arch set. I think so many fun possibilities with it, and I'll be making a ton more cards with it as well. Now let's take a look at our Sledding Fun gnome stamp set. We have 2 gnomes on a sled, 2 Christmas trees, and 2 sentiments in this 4x4 set. Holidays are more fun with friends and so much fun. And of course we have dies to cut out all the things. And this die right here, it's for so much fun. And what I love about that is it's gonna cut apart this sentiment. So each word is its own die cut piece. That way you can stack them, you can put them in a row, and it just gives you more options. Here's a card I made with those sledding gnomes on a snow globe shaker card. This is a die set. Trinity Stamps already carries. And there you can see the Snow Much Fun die cut apart. Isn't that fun? So there they are, a little tree, and I added some of our embellishments at the top there for a little added accent. New gnome sets is Snowman. Snowman. That's hard to say. Okay, we've got 4 gnomes here dressed up as snowmen. They're adorable. Look at them. And this is just a really fun size. We've got an igloo, also a Christmas tree, 2 clouds, winter greetings, and from our gnome to yours in this set. And of course, the coordinating dies. And here is a card with that snowman stamp set. He is just darling. There's the tree and the sentiment, all from that set. And this card has a special pop-up surprise in it. This is featuring a new die set. It's called Emergency Card Essentials. That's also in this release, so you want to check that out. There's 2 different die sets, and the set number 2 has this fun pop-up that you can add on the inside of your card. So there it is. I just want to thank you guys so much for coming by the Scrapbook and Cards Today World Card Making event. I had so much fun creating these cards and making this fun interactive card with you today. I hope that the rest of your World Card Making Day is full of creativity and fun. Thanks so much for watching, and happy stamping. Bye.